Greetings from IBIL Solutions. As a registered Snowflake partner, IBIL Solutions is committed to helping clients accelerate Snowflake adoption and harness the immense power of the data cloud where they have seamless access to explore, share, and unlock the true value of their data. For clients migrating to Snowflake from SQL Server databases, a lot of SQL code needs to be converted to Snowflake syntax. Automating this conversion process helps reduce the migration timeline significantly, and IBIL's SQL Server to Snowflake Converter Tool does just that. This video is a demo of the SQL Server to Snowflake Converter Tool. This tool converts SQL Server's DDL, DML statements and stored procedures to the Snowflake syntax. This tool consumes a mapping file that has SQL Server functions to Snowflake functions mapping. For example, in SQL Server, we use getDate function to get today's date, whereas in Snowflake, we use currentDate function to get today's date. This file also has a list of keywords that are used in SQL Server to split the SQL Server stored procedures into sections. Now let us have a look at the SQL Server input files. We pick 3 files, one for each category: DDML, DML, and stored procedure. In the SQL Server DDL file, we have a create table statement with 4 columns with primary key constraint and check constraint. In the DML file, we have a select query that has case when statement, isNull function, joint, and aggregation. In stored procedure, we have variable declaration, variable assignment, cursor declaration, and looping through cursor to update a table. Let us run the tool to see the output. We can run this Python file using the command prompt. The tool asks for the input file folder path. So let's add the folder path. And also it asks for the output file path where your output file should land. Now the 3 input files are converted to Snowflake syntax. Let's look at the output folder now. We have 3 files converted to Snowflake syntax, and we also have the other folders that have supporting files such as log files and warning files. Let's start looking at the output files first. Let's compare that to the input files. The input files have a create table with 4 columns with primary key constraint and check constraint. The output file has 4 columns with primary key constraint and check constraint has been removed. This is because Snowflake does not support the check constraint, so it is removed from the input file. Let's check the warning file for DDL. In the warning section, we have mentioned that check constraint has been removed as it is not supported by Snowflake. This will be shown as a warning so that the user can understand why the check constraint has been removed. Let's move on to the DML output file. So the DML input file has a case when statement and is null function with aggregation. If we were to look at the output file, the is null function is converted to if null function. So the replacement for is null function in SQL Server is if null in Snowflake. Everything else remains the same. Now let's look at the stored procedure output file. This is the stored procedure output file that is transformed into Snowflake syntax. As we can see, the headers are transformed with return data type, language, and execute as terms. The variables declaration and assignment has been done according to the Snowflake syntax. The cursor declaration and looping through cursors to updated table till deallocating the cursor has been implemented here. Where we embed the query into a variable and pass that as a statement and execute that to get the results set. Once we get the result set, we loop through that using while to update the table. You can see the update query in the SQL Server stored procedure. It has the variable embedding that has been transformed according to the Snowflake stored procedure syntax. So we have embedded the variables from the cursor into the update query. All the statements in the SQL Server stored procedure have been transformed into Snowflake syntax. Now, let's see the log files that got generated by the tool. Let's check the DDL file. The log file consists of various steps that our input files have passed through to get converted as a Snowflake file. We hope you found this session useful. Thank you for watching this IBIL Solutions presentation.